Welcome to the Modern Savvy CPA, where financial expertise meets the cutting edge of digital age. I'm Sherron, your host, a certified public accountant, here to guide you through the intricate web of numbers and regulations, offering a fresh perspective of the ever-evolving world of finance. This is Sherron, the Modern Savvy CPA, talking to you about not how much money you make, but how much of it you get to keep and how you do that. How do you keep the most money that you make? So today we're gonna talk about something that's in the news all the time. When you're looking at whether it's business news, whether you're reading something on an article on the internet, or you're just on Instagram, everywhere you go, you hear about inflation. Inflation. We are in an inflationary environment. A lot of people don't understand what that means. They don't understand how we work with the environment. They don't understand the things. So this video is going to be probably in two parts because I'm also long-winded all the time. So we're going to be talking about how do you beat inflation, what inflation is, and we're gonna be doing this in a few steps. Hopefully, no more than 6. So, first of all, everything that you hear in the news, you hear the bad about inflation. Inflation sucks. That's what that's all we probably understand. Inflation sucks, but it's a part of our society. It's a part of the cyclical world that we live in. We live in a world where things go up and down and it moves around and it's in a circle and it comes back around the other time. So that's how it works. That's how it is. It sucks when it's happening, but believe it or not, if you are a smart economist, you're a smart accountant, or you know anything about finance, you knew that eventually this was going to come. I knew it was going to come. And I'll tell you why I knew it was going to come and how I could have seen that it was coming later on in the videos. So there's a lot of ways to fight back on inflation. So, you hear in the world, and I always believe in this motto, that 10% is what happens to you, 90% is what you do about it. So there are lots of ways to fight back on inflation. And here are some of the best ways. So if you're feeling pinchy lately, yes, you're probably feeling pinchy. You're not alone. You have to be pinching everything. You feel like inflation is running away with everything, we're just hitting our wallet left, right, and center. I mean, I'm a baker. So when eggs was $4 a dozen, it was hitting me because baking is my relaxation. Baking is what I use as my therapy. So when eggs are too expensive, I'm not happy because that does hit my wallet. And any type of downturn, if you're thinking about any type, it's downright scary, so. But another thing is knowledge is power. So you need to understand a few things about inflation. So we're going to start by briefly explaining to you what inflation is and how you are going to be fighting it back in just a few steps. So what is inflation? Inflation simply means that prices are rising for everything. You can see that. It's very simple. Eggs was 99 cents a dozen. Now it became $3 a dozen, $4 a dozen. Maybe it went back down to maybe $2 a dozen today. I've curbed my baking, so I'm not really sure what the cost of eggs are lately. So, this happens more when people are trying to buy stuff than when there's stuff to buy. Okay, so one of the reasons is in an accounting school, in accounting school, they talk to you about supply and demand. When there's less supply out there and there's more demand for it, then the prices go up. That's basically what inflation is. So our pandemic was an example, a great example of an environment that we were going to see things happen. The government flooded the country with relief checks, creating more money. At the same time, the world economy was at a halt. So money was put in the economy, but the economy was at a halt. So what does it mean that the economy was at a halt? It means that people weren't making things. We weren't making cars. We were not making coffee. We weren't making things. The economy was at a halt, but there was money out there to buy it. So demand was high. We needed eggs. One of the reasons that egg prices went up, one of the reasons is probably because we weren't cultivating enough chickens. I don't know. But definitely one of the reasons is because more people were baking. They were home, they had more time, they were baking. Hence, there was a more supply, more demand for eggs, less supply of eggs equals the high prices. That's basically what it is. So how does inflation get fixed? So if you want to fix a supply and demand imbalance, that's what inflation is, a supply and demand imbalance, you either have to increase the supply of stuff that's out there, right? Make more of it, or decrease the demand for what we're getting supply. So either we need to stop baking as much as we were baking, or we need to have chickens lay more eggs. So what are we doing? So both of these things can happen. With the pandemic bottleneck, now there was mostly a rear view mirror look. We can look at it rear view mirror now because we're looking at now the pandemic has passed, hopefully. There's more stuff available to buy now, right? So over a year now, the Federal Reserve has been raising interest rate, reducing the demand. So that means that when they raise the interest rate, they're trying to reduce the demand for stuff. Stuff being more expensive makes people not want to buy as much. So if you're raising interest rate, what does that mean? Raising interest rate means the cost of money is higher. So interest is the cost of borrowing money. Interest is the cost of borrowing money. So when you put your savings money in the bank, if you put money in your savings account, your checking account, your savings account, your money market account, whatnot, the bank is borrowing that money because they're paying you a certain interest rate. When you get a mortgage or a loan from the bank, you're borrowing the money from the bank. You're paying an interest rate to the bank. So interest is the cost of borrowing money. What our Federal Reserve did is they start to raise interest rates, so the cost of money is higher, so the demand, things are more expensive, and they're hoping that the demand goes down. They felt by taming inflation that it will make things better. It will make things better for us. So, and it will even it out. But to do things like this, it takes time. There's always a lag in the time to do it. So taming inflation takes time. So while we're waiting for inflation to deflate, we can fight it back in several different ways. So here we go on these things. I have 6 little things that we can talk about where we can combat inflation. I call it combating inflation. Use inflation fighting investments. So one of the best ways to protect your savings is diversification. We've talked about it. Now, you remember, diversification does not mean dilution. Yes, you're diversifying, but if you do too much of it, it's diluting. If you do too little of it, you're losing because you're not investing enough. So having money in different types of investments, that's what diversification is. Dealing with one that can go up whether the other goes down. For example, stocks tends to do poorly when it's an inflationary environment. Now I would say it's kind of not so much, we're defying some of the odds of the normal trends of things. So because interest rate is high or it's rising, there's political turmoil brewing. We definitely see that happening, not only in our America or in the first world countries. We're seeing it more and more on a global perspective. So we definitely need to think about that. So, but there's one investment that thrives in this scenario, and that's gold. So if you guys have listened to me before, have listened to my journey, you understand that I'm Indian, and one of the things that we talk about and we invest in is gold. I have gold, there's one of my investments, so in case anything ever happens to me, I think I can sell this gold and at least live in a tent somewhere. So I think I'm going to be good there. But not every gold business goes up, and gold business also goes up and down, so you have to be careful what you're dealing with. For example, gold bars are very interested. It has to be interesting to keep. You have to keep it in a special place. You have to have it within a certain time. I invest more in gold jewelry because if it's Indian gold, which is 22 karat and 24 karat, that I've not lost there yet. I've had cases where my gold has gone up 3 or 4 times, 5 times in the last 20 to 30 years. So that's one of the things that you want to think about. Coins is one of the things that's easier to keep. Bars is a little bit less to keep. So you want to think about gold as one of your inflationary combat, but the right goal is what's important. It might be important for you, it might not be important for you. Whatever you're doing, you need to get literate about it. You need to research it, understand what you're doing, and think about what it is. Years ago, the Federal Reserve was backed by gold, so it's one of the most stable metals that you can think of. But don't overlook gold. On the second half of this video, we're going to go through the next 2 through 6 on the things that we need to talk about when it comes to combating inflation. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, feel free to give me a follow to get updated on new and upcoming episodes, and listen in every Tuesday and Thursday, where I teach you smart money habits so you can make better money choices with a financial goal focus.